Okay. Now, hopefully, can everyone see the marketplace by MGG?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay, perfect. Alrighty. Okay, so now we're just going to begin. So today I'm going to present the space, which is my favorite part because the storefront dispensary really is the front line of the cannabis industry. And so I'm really excited to share with you a visual aid of, what I came up with the designer for the purpose of, it's a learning tool for us to discuss what a dispensary looks like, the ins and outs. So this marketplace by MGG is 2,500 square feet. And like I said, it's an example of what a dispensary could look like. You can adapt any of these ideas for yourself, for your dispensary or not. So it's a free-for-all. And like I said, it's a learning tool. So one of the things that I do want to say right off the bat is that part of your initial team is going to be a commercial real estate professional for sure to locate a space for your dispensary. And it's going to help for you to be clear about what your vision is. And then you'll also want to have an experienced general contractor, designer, and architect to help you design and build out the space and within your budget. And so that's why I'm going over this exercise with you, to just give you a dry run of what things could look like. So we're going to do a deep dive on the exterior of the store first, and then we're going to then we're going to go into the interior of the space. And one thing I wanted to point out also, actually before I jump in, was a few housekeeping tips. So while you're on mute, there are features when you go to participate. You can raise your hand. You can say go faster, go slower. There's all kinds of little icons that you can use in order to communicate while you're on mute. And then if you raise your hand, we can unmute you in order to allow you to speak if you have something to say. So let's see here. Give me one more sec. Okay, so like I said, first we're going to take a deep dive of the exterior of the store. So this floor plan is what a dispensary would look like if you remove the lid of the roof and you were looking down at the dispensary. And so at the top is the back of the dispensary, the offices, and at the bottom is the front of the dispensary, which is what the customers would see. And then outside to the left is the consumption area, which I'll get back to in a second. So this is just, again, the same layout, just with some labels so that you can see what I'm talking about here. So depending upon your location, you may or may not have a parking lot. Of course, a parking lot is a plus. And you may have a standalone retail location, or you may have other stores located on the side or in back of you. So for demonstration purposes, this is a standalone retail storefront. And as you can see with the labels, like I said, there's a roll-up door in the back, janitorial closet, restroom storage, kitchen area. So we'll look at the inside of the space more as we go along, but just so that you have an understanding of where everything is from this view. Okay, and so, sorry about that. So this is, again, the exterior view, and depending upon, well, first of all, the first thing that I noticed with this storefront is that the HVAC at the top is missing, and you're definitely going to need HVAC for odor mitigation. Also, one of the things that I noticed is missing is there's no security cameras. So you'll definitely want to have security cameras on the interior and exterior of your storefront. And then also you can see a better view of the consumption area, which also is lacking security because you can't have it visible from the street. But for purposes of learning, I wanted you to see what a consumption area on the outside of the store looks like. One of the things that we try to keep in mind when we designed this hypothetical dispensary was what a dispensary would look like today, even during this pandemic and afterwards. So some of the elements that we've put in here keeps that, that in mind. Let's see. So again, we're spending quite a bit of time on the exterior of the space because when a customer comes to your storefront, their customer experience starts outside of the dispensary. And so it starts outside before they even make it inside. And there's a lot that you can do on the exterior of the space in order to welcome your customers and get that experience started of what they will receive when they enter the store. So we have the consumption area outside. There's all kinds of things you can do with with the consumption area. There could be flat screens, there could be heating lamps, all kinds of things that could give them a good, unique experience. Okay, so the other important thing that I want to mention today is curbside pickup and having a pickup window and delivery, because one of the things we've seen since this pandemic is that's where a lot of the trends are heading, where online sales, e-commerce. And so the dispensaries, the differentiator right now are the dispensaries who have online sales and the ones that don't. And so this is not new. A lot of larger retailers have already had curbside and delivery available to their customers. Think Walmart, Target, Walgreens have all had like curbside pickup. And so I think this, is something that would be nice to incorporate in the dispensary when you're designing it. If you have parking, is to do curbside pickup, where basically it's convenient for your customer to make a purchase online, pull up, and not have to leave their vehicle. The salesperson would bring the product out to the vehicle, and that's less people in the store. Same with the pickup window. They can walk up, they can drive, they can walk up, they can place the order online and then pick up from the window if you have one, or they can pick up from a counter inside, but that time would be very brief, in and out, very fast service. So, and then delivery is another opportunity for brick and mortar storefronts to basically have an opportunity to bring the product to the customer. But with a retail dispensary license, you can do delivery as well. So that's another stream of revenue that you can add on to your inside store sales. Also, I want to point out that your website ties into this, because your website should have information explaining how to use these services. So the website does help with, people looking for more information before they even enter the store. So we were talking about how the exterior of the store is important to set up that stage for the customer experience. Well, so is the website. The website is basically your virtual online storefront. And they all should blend well together and help the customer make that purchase. So also what we have here is that excuse me, you go to the next slide. So this counter outside is where we have the customer basically check in outside. So if you can, bring in the lobby outside where people can wait for their turn to go inside of the store. And this is where their ID can be checked, and you can limit how many customers are actually in the store if you have some sort of check-in counter or area outside. which I think would be nice, with or without a pandemic. It would be nice to have that feature. It can be covered. There's lots of things that you could do with an outside kiosk for check-in. And then also there's a poster on the outside, which is an equity brand, but basically you can use, you can market or feature or highlight different things using a poster. So that's another element that we added. But one other thing I wanted to point out really quickly is there's a glass where you can see into the dispensary and you can see the product from the street. So that's also most likely not compliant. We wanted you to be able to, for learning purposes, see what it looks like inside the store from the outside, but you would probably need to have some window covering if you have glass outside of your dispensary to be in compliance. Like I said, same thing with the consumption area. You would want to have something covering so that it's not visible where people are consuming from the public. So those are just things that I wanted to address in terms of compliance of what you see. Okay, so now this is the night view. Okay, so this is the night view of the exterior of the store, and the store itself looks really well lit, which is also a security feature. So having good lighting outside is good to keep people safe. Also, but the parking lot is not so well lit, so it would be nice to have a lit parking lot for security purposes. So you can also raise your hand if you have something to say. There's a raise your hand button if you want to chime in while I'm going over these slides. So these are just basically different views of the exterior. We added handicap parking and a ramp so it could be ADA compliant. So these are just some of the features that we have going on. So I see there's 2 comments in the chat that I just want to make sure. Right, and so Chris will be diving into the e-commerce platform and the inventory when he talks. So just keep this visual in mind so that when the other speakers talk, then you have this point of reference. All right, so now we have the exterior, a clear picture of what the outside looks like in the dark. Now we get to go in the inside, finally, of the store. And so, welcome to the Marketplace by MGG. And here are some things I want to point out about this. So all of the furniture is modular. And can be moved around from place to place because we wanted an adaptable space that could change, with you and your customers over time. And so, everything that you see in here pretty much can be moved to a different corner, a different area or part of the store, especially if you want to do events. So you might not want to have anything in the center when that time comes, where you can have events and you're inside and you can move things around. So everything's modular. So it can be adaptable. We also merchandise the store with, so in this example, we're actually putting the products on the shelf. So we're going to put a limited number, a limited quantity of products on the shelf so that customers can basically grab their products and then buy them. You don't have to do it that way, but we basically, that's the way that we're merchandising it, is that the products are on the shelf for immediate sale, and the rest of the products are stored in the back in a locked room, which we'll go over pretty soon. The other thing you see here is there's iPads on both sides of the center displays, and the iPads could be used for self-learning. So the customer could, watch a video. They could learn about the products of the month. Basically, it's another marketing tool where they can learn more about the products that they see on the shelf without really having to speak to anyone necessarily. They could just go on the iPad and find what they need, which is bringing in a little bit more of technology into the space again, which is what Chris is going to cover. Let's see here. What else is on here? So the sales counter is where the customers will take their products and make their purchase after they've, shopped around and got everything that they want. Okay, so now we're going to get into the visual merchandising of the cannabis products. And so we merchandise the store keeping in mind that we needed to educate new customers and inexperienced customers who may not quite know what they're looking for. And so we group the products together to highlight certain issues that customers are facing, like they want to relax, or they want to sleep, or they've lost their appetite, or they want to be more social, or they have anxiety. So all the shelves have, or some shelves have addressed some of those issues, and the products on those shelves are grouped together for that purpose. And then also what we see here in this example is that we group products together by theme. So theme is another way to make it easier for customers to find what they're looking for. We have cooking with cannabis. Actually, that's a really good show on Netflix. But anyway, there's cooking with cannabis. There's pets. A lot of people are into buying cannabis for their pets. It could be skincare. I mean, it's whatever you find that your customers are coming to look for, you can categorize and group together those products by theme or by issue. And this is just an example of that. Let's see here. So your schematic should have your most popular items at eye level. And so what I mean by the schematic is, that's a retail term that we use, and that basically describes where do you place your products. And you do want to have those top sellers, those more popular brands, popular products at eye level. And then from there, you have things above eye level and below eye level. And those could be some of your the other brands that may not sell as well or may not be featured that month. And so that's what we mean when we're talking about, your schematic. It's where do you want the products to live every day? Or what do you want your customers to see when they look at the shelf? So that's what I'm referring to with the schematic. Then we have a desk here for consultations, but I would probably use that desk more for demos and sampling. I would probably move those chairs to the other side, and I'd have my brand of the month come and do some sampling or some demonstrations in that middle area. But, sky is the limit. Like I said, the furniture is modular, so you have options. You might take that out completely, put it into another shelf. So, you could do whatever you think if you have modular furniture, because a lot of times, go into storefronts or retailers, and when the furniture is fixed, so especially during this pandemic, what happened was a lot of the furniture was fixed, and it wasn't allowing people to stay 6 feet apart. And so that's one of the features that I wanted to incorporate straight out the gate was, how do we make adjustments because we don't know what things will look like over time. So let's see here. Okay, so then that's why I'm gonna jump right into keeping customers feeling safe and comfortable when they're actually inside, right? And so we use these stay 6 feet apart decals, which are removable, and they're pretty inexpensive, but they're reminders for your customers to stay, apart while they're in the store. And then obviously you're limiting the number of people who are inside the store. So these things together should be able to help people feel safe and stay safe while they're inside. We also have glass coverings at the sales counter. So we have the glass coverings at the sales counter that could be removable as well. It can be sanitized and cleaned, but the idea here is to also keep the staff feeling safe and the customers feeling safe when they're inside the store.
LaWanda, you have about 15 minutes left.
Okay, thank you. Good, so I only have a few more slides. 3 more slides, and then we can go to Q&A. So this is basically where we're at on the sales side. Now we're going to move to the back. And again, this is going to be dependent upon the space that you have. But what you see here is that this is an employee lounge because, and Stacey's going to talk about company culture here in a sec, but it's really important, I think, to have a place where employees can relax and unwind and have a place of their own and, feel like they're important too. So we have this employee lounge for employees to chill out. And then when they're on their breaks, you can even have meetings here. This furniture should be modular too. And then on the left is a kitchen, so that they can unlock and some storage cabinets so they can, eat and have their breaks. And let's see here, go to the next slide. Here are the offices. And then these 3 rooms. So these 3 rooms are important. We have the storage room where, there could be janitorial supplies. We have the inventory room, which should be number one, it should have a camera on the outside of it and the inside of it. It should be locked and basically be, a very secured room with limited access to authorized personnel, which could be, like a touchpad, or they have all kinds of different gadgets now that you face scans, fingerprint scans. But basically the point is that this should be a secured room where your inventory is stored, to reduce, theft and diversion of product. And then we have restrooms and the roll-up door. And so, it would be nice if you have a roll-up door, because then you could receive your inventory and take it to the, where it belongs. You could have your drivers pull up and get products for their delivery routes. So there's a lot you can do with a roll-up door if you have one. Which is why the roll-up door is there. And so that is the marketplace by MGG virtual dispensary, going over the space. And so now I have time to answer any questions. I can go back to any slides if you want me to. And so now we're going to open it up to Q&A for this section.